Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check these headlines out. CFTC's Rostin Benham says stablecoins should be regulated by the CFTC. And another central bank says that XRP and XLM just happen to be stablecoins. SEC versus Ripple, the judge is leaning in. XRP not a security? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.04 trillion cryptocurrency market cap. It's off by 0.8% this afternoon, it should be. So Bitcoin right now, 21,700 plus, and it's off by 8% on the 7-day. Ethereum, 1539, 7.5 off on the 7-day as well. Tether market cap, 71.7 plus billion. Okay. 39 cents per XRP. It's up 3.3% on the 7-day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't got your ticket, 57 days and counting down to XRP Las Vegas. It will be the inaugural event of XRP Las Vegas. Yes, that's right. It will be an annual experience, and you're not going to want to miss the first ever XRP Las Vegas conference. And there are going to be incredible people, and it's not over yet. Jack McDonald from PolySign is going to be there. Nancy Beaton from Uphold. Joe Endoso from Link2. Look at this. Otto Nino from Sologenic. Eleanor Terrett from Fox. John Deaton. And guess who else? Jeremy Hogan, ladies and gentlemen, with a virtual appearance as well. And so many more. Daniel here from Casino Coin, CEO from Glint. I'm telling you, this is going to be remarkable. Mika Canfield from Flair Naming Services is going to be making a massive announcement. What they're doing on the Flair networks. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait. Quincy Jones is going to be there speaking as well. So many people. I'm telling you, the tickets are moving and it will sell out. We can already see that that's going to happen. Get your ticket. Click that link. Look right here. President Biden calls for double capital gains tax from 20 to 40%. Wow, what a country. U.S. government has really got this whole land of opportunity thing figured out, hasn't it? Oh, boy. What else are you going to say to that? Well, let's focus on some better news. CFTC Chair Rostin Benham says stablecoins and Ether are commodities and should be regulated by the CFTC. Rostin Benham stated this during a recent Senate hearing. Now, look, I need to go into this a bit because I've got something for you to see now. As the tug of war between the U.S. regulators over control of crypto assets continues, the CFTC chairman has tripled down on his position that Ether and stablecoins are commodities. Stablecoins and Ether are commodities and should be regulated by the CFTC, Rostin Benham said. And this was during that recent Senate hearing. He said previously the CFTC had claimed that certain digital assets such as Ether, Bitcoin, and Tether are commodities. Such a claim was made in mid-December lawsuit against FTX founder. During the Senate hearing, Benham was also asked what evidence the CFTC would present to gain regulatory influence over Ether. For his part, he claimed that if the CFTC did not believe Ether is a commodity asset, it would not have allowed Ether future products to be listed on CFTC exchanges. Now, this is what I find so interesting about this, because he wraps stablecoins in here too. Now, stay with me through this. I have something new for you to look at, because we have another central bank that we're going to show you right now that refers to XLM and XRP as stablecoins. And if they're right, just like the World Bank says, the same thing, XRP, XLM, stablecoins for cross-border payments. Stay with me. Bank of China, You remember I covered this. The Bank of China, let the page load here, said the same exact thing. I've got it right here. Bank of China, U.S. translation, Ripple needs to cooperate with SWIFT. Cross-border solution needs to be backed by cash reserves and commodities. And this is from the Bank of China just last summer. And I'm going to get you right to it, where the Bank of China says exactly the same thing about Ripple and XRP. And what they say is right here. The Ripple coin, which is obviously XRP. On the other hand, a stable exchange rate is formed by anchoring various legal currencies in reality, such as a dollar, a basket of currencies, or a combination of currencies to maintain the stability of XRP. The currency has a stable support, preferably a one-to-one reserve, and the safety and liquidity of the reserve must be guaranteed. Then we have this. Shout out to ISO 20022 for this. Let's do it. Now the Central Bank of Canada mentions XRP and XLM as stable coins. I've asked this question about the World Bank when we first found that information. Do they have it wrong, or do we have it wrong? Does the CFTC have it wrong? Does the Bank of China have it wrong? And does the Central Bank of Canada now have it wrong? This is what they say. Two digital currencies that fall into the category are RippleNet's native digital currency, Ripple XRP, and Stellar Networks' native cryptocurrency, Stellar XLM. It goes on to say both Stellar and Ripple enable fast and more efficient cross-border payments banking. However, in that Ripple is focused on improving cross-border settlement between international banks, whereas Stellar is focused on providing low-cost cross-border financial services to end user and the unbanked population. Ripple enables multinational corporations to settle cross-border payments by transferring XRP through Ripple network, resulting in on-demand liquidity. The three parts of the Ripple ecosystem are servers that maintain the ledger, 2, clients, intermediaries for 3. Unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum, Ripple does not run on proof of work, nor does it run on proof of stake consensus mechanism. Instead, Ripple transactions rely on Byzantine General's problem known as GBP, consensus protocol, known as Ripple's gateways, and on and on and on. And for the same reasons, in the World Bank document, it says the same thing. Ripple does not run on proof of work, nor does it run on proof of consensus. Instead, it runs on Byzantine General's problem, BGP, consensus protocol. There is a consistency here. And I'm asking the question, and it is a question because we don't know. If Rostin Benham from the CFTC sees stablecoins as commodities, doesn't that make, if we're going with the banks, the central banks and World Bank, that they've got it right, then XRP is a commodity and it's also a stablecoin. Now, we know that there's a possibility the SEC versus Ripple could go to trial, or at least some part thereof, after this summary judgment ruling. We'll have to wait and see, but it's possible, and we need to be prepared for that. Jeremy Hogan shared this right here. In her recent ruling or order, the judge cited the Marine Bank versus Weaver case at least 3 times when discussing what a reasonable purchaser believed when they bought XRP issue. It's a Supreme Court case which asks whether the thing sold was commonly thought of as a security. And here's the highlight. The agreement in question is not the type of instrument that comes to mind when the term security is used, and does not fall within the ordinary concept of a security. And then it cites the case law here. Distinguished. It says the provision of the agreement giving respondents a share of the company's profit is not in itself sufficient to make the agreement a security. Then there's this. Adding to this, Read the language here. A provision in an agreement gave the investors a share of the company's profits, yet the court said the provision itself is not a security. So the underlying asset itself is not a security. That's a major focus of XRP holders' amicus brief. XRP itself is not a security, and neither are secondary sales. In our brief highlighted the character in commerce, Teston wrote, considering the inherent characteristics of the underlying asset XRP is critical before conducting a Howey analysis. Glenn Arden, Commodities, and it cites the case here. The test, rather, is what character the instrument is given in commerce by the terms of the offer, the plan of distribution, and the economic inducements held out to the prospect. Bottom line is, when a purchaser is motivated by a desire to consume the item purchased, the securities laws do not apply, and he cites the case law there. First of all, I'm very grateful for these gentlemen and the time that they put in to help all of us understand what's happening here. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play one on TV, not even on YouTube. But this is starting to look like the SEC will be the party who appeals after summary judgment, because Judge Torres seems to be leaning in that XRP is not a security. And if it isn't, is there a chance it becomes a stable coin and gets regulated by the CFTC if Rostam Benham gets his way? Then let's take a look at this. XRP megaphone pattern. It's a real pattern. I had no idea. He shows us. It's right here. He says the rare megaphone pattern, aka broadening pattern, works best on longer term time frames. It is highly effective, so we can expect a win ratio of above 70%. In other words, that means the indicator of this particular pattern usually has a 70% success rate of being correct versus the 30% chance of it being incorrect. But there's still a 30% chance. And I've been in this space long enough to know you don't ignore the 10%, 1% chance, let alone focusing on the 70. So full disclosure, and Egg Rag Crypto does a great job of that as well. Usually on the third upswing, price breaks above the prior high, but fail to fall below this level again. Well, now that is quite interesting in itself too. Let's take a look at this pattern very quickly here. You see the three touches here on that bottom line where it could show that big break. Here is where I believe the all-time high would be that he spoke of, and that if this pattern pans out to be correct, and that's, you know, if it goes to the upside, it can still be correct and break to the downside, right? So we got to be aware of that. But if it breaks to the upside, what he's saying is if you break to the upside, go above the all-time high, there's a high probability that it would not return back below the previous all-time high, which is at 384 or 354, something like that. So that is pretty interesting. But what is even more interesting to me is that we pay very close attention to what goes on in this summary judgment, because we see many central banks now referring to XLM and XRP as stable coins. And I remind you that it is Michael S. Barr, former Treasury official, former Ripple advisor, who is now the vice president of the Federal Board of Governors, who in fact, as one of his tasks, is working on architecting stablecoin legislation. Could it be that we finally have someone inside of the Federal Reserve to be able to understand this technology and how it can be regulated and benefit the world? Maybe, just maybe. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. This is getting good. Remember, we're closer than anybody in this crypto space to finding out exactly, legally, what XRP really is. I'll catch all of you on the next one.